Hey folks, Tim the Toolman here, Car Show and Tell. Thanks for joining us. Where last we left off, I was in the middle of body working the rust holes in this Kia, rust hole really, in this Kia, our free Kia project Freya, I had to say it. So we saw the disassembly portion of that. So here's its follow-up. This will be the reassembly portion of the rust hole. So let me show you where we're at, because I've got them a little bit done here. So let me get you all caught up. Okay. Here's the section that we had cut out of the car. Right where that big rust hole was, cut most of the rocker panel out that was affected because most of it was gone, really. If you go back and watch the old video, you'll see. And I've got everything prepared to put our patch piece in place. Now in the last video, I had showed you this piece that I wanted to use from the junkyard. Unfortunately, it had suffered the same fate as the last piece, the original part of the car that I cut out, wherein the rust had all started to form, I think, down in this area, and it just spread out because that's what cancer does. So this is kind of, rust is sort of like cancer of the car, basically. It consumes, and it continues to spread. And it gets bigger, faster, and stronger the more time it's given. The last video, I had cut and formed this patch piece, but I hadn't buzzed it in yet. So I had taken the time to fire up the welder, clamp these two pieces together where I wanted this long joint. And the process by which you kind of weld these two pieces together is you start out and start out by making tacks here. Well, I started here, a few inches away from each other, and tacked all along this edge, and then sort of tacked down here in a couple of places to line that edge up, and then went back across, tacking right beside each of the first tacks that I had made. You can't weld this directly across because A, it's thin and probably burn through. B, you're going to put too much heat into one spot and it's going to warp. So in order to control the heat, all you do is basically make a long string of short tacks, sort of like you're stitching these two pieces together a little bit at a time. Okay, eventually you just continue to move across, jumping a few inches at a time, placing a new tack beside the old tacks that you had made until you have completed one long string of ugly tack welds, in my case. This edge was a little, I kind of cut the hole a little bit too big, so I had to sort of fill in a small gap there. But it's one piece, and it's solid. And you can see the back side of the tacks. And I've double-checked the back side to make sure, A, you've got good penetration. B, you haven't missed any spots. So double check that. I've already drilled my holes down here where my new tack welds are going to go, and the holes that I need here, where the tack welds at the front of this piece are going to hold it to the rest of the car. And I'll get this set up so you guys can see how it's going to fit. Alright, so what I had talked first about was this lower, what you want to call it, like a floor drop off. This piece back here behind. In the last video I had cut the lower portion of this B pillar off kind of high so I could get back behind here and weld a patch in there. I had cut out the rotten sheet metal, which was like from here to here, and needed to weld a patch in there. So I'd taken this piece from the junkyard donor, and you can see where I cut my patch piece out of it, and I cut that a little bit bigger than what I actually needed it to be, and brought it over here to the car and clamped it on behind where I had cut for my patch, and transferred those lines with Sharpie, and then carefully cut that piece out so it fit well, clamped it in place, and made my welds on that piece, welded it in. This part here, I then cut, drilled holes in each of these drop legs, and spot welded this in on all those parts where wherever I had made a hole. So I've got those two steps accomplished. I've also gone ahead, trimmed all this back to where I needed it, drilled my holes where my spot welds are going to go, and gotten that ready. So what I want to do now is, then I took my patch piece right there and carefully trimmed it down to fit. I was able to put it in here where I wanted it, and then back here where this cut was made and where these cuts were made, I slowly trimmed the patch back until it fit snugly to where this butt weld's going to be and where this butt weld's going to be. So let me start fitting that up. Okay, here we are again. Got my patch piece fit in where I'd like it to be. You can see how it's tucked up behind the original sheet metal here where this lap joint's going to be spot welded in, and on these edges here and at the front, I've got this fit up, and just feeling with my finger between the two pieces, everything feels nice and even. Everything looks like it's lined up pretty well. I can start making my welds. Same thing at the back edge, it's well lined up. It's nice and even. It is, as I come through here and fill this in, this butt weld, it's going to take some feathering probably later on with a little bit of filler or seam sealer or both or whatever, because we're going from a butt weld back here to a lap joint up here. So it is what it is. It's the best I can do given the time and the resources that I have. Down here, this is going to require a little bit of manipulation as I'm welding. I'm going to have to hold this in alignment as I slowly make my welds. This will hopefully conform to the shape of this rounded rocker panel. This panel that I cut off the car had taken a little bit of damage from, they skinned something with the car. But I can get that, I think, to come to where I need it to be as I do my welding. So this is fit up as well as it can be for now, so I think I'm going to begin my welds here at this joint at the bottom of the door opening, and then do my spot welds here, and maybe do my spot welds at the front, and work my way to these butt joints here and back here. So let me set this back here out of the way, get my welder fired up, and we'll see how this turns out. Alright, how you looking? Can you see? There we go. Keep that in the middle of that picture here. Come up a little bit. Alright. Yeah. Go ahead. Thank you. All right, so I've heard people ask me before, because I just use flux core wire feed welder for this sort of work. And a lot of people have asked why I don't use shielding gas, and that is because basically I work outside. Typically there's a breeze blowing, and any shielding gas that I'm pumping through there is more than likely just going to get blown away by the breeze. So what am I left with? An open, sort of unprotected weld. I'm just shoving this in here in the hopes that I can prevent myself from lighting the carpet on fire while I do this. I'm going to set the voltage down a little bit on the welder, and it's set to tickle, not necessarily to stun. I just want to tickle the sheet metal. The ground. And let's see how it works. I got two holes here. I'm trying to fill this hole. This spot weld accidentally drilled through, and it's in the exact same place. So I've got to try to fill the hole as I make my weld. Alright, yep. Break that off. It's going great already. I want to make a lot of little tacks, is to not put too much heat into that spot. And in that way I can sort of fill that hole as I weld both pieces together. And my carpet's only smoking a little bit, so that's good. Put that out. Got the front side filled. I'm going to fill the back side. I can get in here and do that carefully. Move on to number 2. Too much heat. I blew through it. I'll be filling this one up again. Here's 2. This. Let's do that. Keep that in between the carpet and wiring and my weld. I might turn the voltage down a little bit more if I continue to have trouble. Yep. Turn this down another volt maybe. Myself. I burned it. Maybe I should sit cross-legged. room to grab hold of these two pieces in here. They've all stuck pretty close to one another. Sometimes I'm afraid if I put too much heat in that they'll start to expand or move away from each other, but they've stuck pretty close together. So I can get away without a clamp on the rest of these. I'm going to skip the one adjacent to here because I'm afraid it might have too much heat. So I'll move over here to this one and then come back to it. I shouldn't be breathing that. Let me take a tool real quick. What?
Talking to myself.
You know that? You know that?
Yeah. Smoking. You still need me over here or not?
No, thank you.
Okay.
This one over here has spread out a little bit, so I'm just going to tap that back together. Where does this thing go? Alright, let's try that. So the technique that I've employed here is to sort of issue small tack welds around the outside of this hole. Set that up, get that out, and then slowly move into the middle and fill in the center of the materials missing. Yes, that purple fire. Alright, that'll be hidden. The piece of trim that goes there. Fit something in between there. Let's look, see what I got. Set the other side. Okay. Piece on fire. And maybe this piece will work. Then this is set in place, perhaps. He's too fat. It's better than nothing. Even those up.
I just want to use the drill.
Yeah.
Or the
No problemo. I'll make this last one then. Okay. Well, that's about the best that I can do on there. Got all my spot welds tacked in. So you guys kind of see how that works. I'm going to move on and get these tacks done. So in order to keep this video kind of brief, I'm going to pause this here while I get those made. Alright, I have all those spots made there and down at the front. So I'm going to move on, start making this butt weld right here. Maybe I can, let's try this. Turn it up a little more. Try to get this to penetrate a little deeper. to fill that in. Hey, come on now. Arms in the way. Oh, man. Take a wire brush real quick. I just want to double check and make sure I've gotten the entire joint. And I haven't missed any spots. Looks like I got everything. Maybe I just need to touch up a little more. Just at the very bottom, it looks like I got this panel here without really touching this panel. Come on. Touch right in there. My welder will let me. Alright, I'm happy with that. Let me try. That's the end result of it. Yes, it's knobby and ugly. Yes, I own a grinder, so I can just grind that down nice and flat. Make it look better. Let's move on to this back side. This is going to require a little bit of manipulation to get everything to line up. Where'd that piece go? Set that piece back in here. Tap that. Yeah, burned it a little bit. Yeah, missed. Okay, that first weld I had kind of troughed the top of this joint, so I just wanted to fill that in with a little bit more weld. This starts to take a nosedive. About there. So I'll pop a weld right here. Ow. There we are. Now. Out of the way. Can't do it with my gloves on. I did forget to tell you guys, I cleaned this before I put it in here, and I primed the opposite side with weld-through primer. Just thought I'd fill you in on that. There I can bend this up. And I have to get creative. Here. I'm gonna work myself into a corner here. Might be able to get a pry bar up behind here and sort of pry this piece back out to line it up where it needs to be, because it's not in alignment at the moment. Let me see if I can get that accomplished. Alright, I got a couple of pry tools, and maybe I should have just done this joint first and prevented this. It might have prevented this. I'm going to see if I can't pry these two panels sort of into better alignment.
Yeah, I was right. There's one up there.
Okay.
Here you go.
Thanks. If I don't do any better. Watch your eyes.
Yeah, I've got this covered with a piece of metal.
Let me get creative here.
Is that working?
It's just sort of prying everything apart instead of up into where I need it.
Pushing everything away instead of pulling everything together.
Right. Everything was lined up before I started welding, but you know, I just laid plans and all.
What do you want to do for dinner tonight? Just want to order pizza or
Got
something?
anything to do with this video?
Huh?
Does it have anything to do with this video? We'll figure it out when I'm done here, okay?
Okay. Oh, you're rolling.
Yeah.
Maybe try from that down there, the crack. On the bottom curve.
Maybe. I can't pull that up to where it needs to be, and I can't push this down to where it needs to be.
You want to get creative with the jack? We can jack it up and then set it on something.
I don't know.
Nope, that's right.
I feel good till we get to about there. Then it goes askew again. Let me pause this again. Alright, this video is getting kind of lengthy. I didn't film this, but I did just get this aligned, at least the top half. I'm going to have to think about this bottom half, how I can get this to line up and weld it in. But needless to say, this required creative usage of one child, one floor jack, and a pry bar. But it's aligned. So, and it's tacked in. I am going to turn the camera off at this point. Oh, I'm tired. So, I'm going to leave you guys for right now. Turn this camera off. Get the rest of this top half of the butt weld tacked in. And then brainstorm some solution to get the bottom lined up. And I don't know, maybe I'll film that. Maybe not, because I'm kind of in a hurry to get this done. It's taken much more time than I really wanted this car to take. And I have other projects waiting in the wings. Or in the cut, if you're Warren G. So, yeah. I'll wrap this up for today. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment, ring something. Yeah, let me know what you think. If you learned something, maybe you learned what to do. In this case, you probably learned what not to do. I think I should have made that long butt weld first. Might have saved myself this headache. Anywho, either way, I hope you enjoyed watching. We're glad you joined us here at the No Kill Car Shelter. So, stay tuned. Hi, son.
I'm pumped.
He was the son I creatively used to align this.
Yep.
Anywho, I'll let you go for now. Stay tuned later on. I'm hoping to get to this Mustang sooner rather than later. That thing's been here. Whoa, hey there.
Needs a new rag top.
Tripod's falling out. Needs a new rag top. It's a little red rag top. I think somebody sang a country song about that at some point, maybe. Anyway, it's been waiting around here for a couple of months for me to finish this hunk of junk up. This one. I can't get my hand in the picture. Anyway. So, once this thing is fixed up and finally done, I'll do one more video about how bad this actually was and what it actually cost me to resurrect this abandoned hunk. And then we're going to move on to the Mustang. So, alright folks, that's it for today. Take care, enjoy your day, and we'll see you down the road. Bye.